Welcome to Exam Sale. In this short guide I will walk you through the syllabus for the HP, Implementing Aruba Location Services exam so you know exactly what to study. The exam is divided into 5 domains with exact weights. ClearPass configuration is 25%, authentication and policy design is 25%, troubleshooting and monitoring is 20%, ClearPass architecture and installation is 15%, and ClearPass operations and administration is 15%. Together these domains cover network access control, identity validation and policy enforcement, practical troubleshooting, deployment and licensing, and day-to-day operations. Expect a mix of hands-on, conceptual, and scenario-based assessment types and plan roughly 30, 35, 20, 15, and 15 hours of study time for each domain respectively. ClearPass configuration carries 25% of the exam and focuses on implementing core network access control services and endpoint classification. This is rated hard and the recommended study time is 30 hours with hands-on plus conceptual assessment methods. You will learn how to define radius and TACX plus clients in Policy Manager, configure shared secrets and vendor-specific attributes, and implement NAD groups for scalable policy application while meeting ArubaOS switch and wireless integration requirements and third-party NAD parameters. You will also master endpoint profiling and posture by configuring profiler collectors like DHCP, SNMP and HTTP, creating custom fingerprints and device categories, integrating ClearPass on guard for posture assessment, defining health classes and posture policies, and managing endpoint attribute updates and transitions. Authentication and policy design is also 25% of the exam and focuses on developing logic for identity validation and access enforcement. This domain is hard with an estimated 35 hours of study and uses scenario-based assessments to test practical design skills. You will learn to integrate identity stores such as Active Directory and LDAP, configure attribute fetching and filter queries, implement multi-factor authentication workflows, handle SQL and external API identity sources, and manage certificate-based authentication such as MPLS. On the policy side you will construct role mapping policies and rules, design enforcement policies with complex conditions, create enforcement profiles for WLAN and ACL assignment, use time source and location-aware conditions, and implement post-authentication actions including COA. Troubleshooting and monitoring makes up 20% of the exam and focuses on identifying and resolving connectivity and authentication failures. This domain is medium difficulty with about 20 hours of estimated learning time and uses conceptual and scenario-based assessment methods. You will become proficient with the ClearPass Access Tracker by analyzing request and response packets, identifying authentication versus authorization failures, interpreting radius return codes and error messages, monitoring real-time session status and accounting data, and verifying the policy evaluation flow. You will also learn system-level monitoring by configuring ClearPass Insight for long-term reporting, using the event viewer for system troubleshooting, managing log levels and debug output, generating alerts and SNMP traps for health, and reviewing packet captures for network-level issues. ClearPass architecture and installation is 15% of the exam and focuses on system deployment, licensing, and high-availability design. This domain is medium difficulty and the recommended study time is 15 hours with conceptual and scenario-based questions. You will study platform deployment and clustering including sizing hardware and virtual appliance requirements, implementing ClearPass cluster architecture with publisher and subscriber nodes, configuring virtual IP for high availability, managing database synchronization across nodes, and performing initial CLI-based system configuration. You will also cover licensing and security topics such as managing entry, access and onboard license types, configuring HTTPS and Radius server certificates, implementing trust lists and certificate authorities, hardening the ClearPass appliance management interface, and performing backups and disaster recovery. ClearPass operations and administration accounts for 15% of the exam and focuses on guest services, device onboarding, and administrative roles. This domain is rated easy with an estimated 15 hours of study and uses conceptual and scenario-based assessments. You will learn guest and onboard management by configuring guest captive portal pages and workflows, supporting self-registration and sponsor approval models, Implementing ClearPass Onboard for BYOD provisioning and managing the onboard certificate authority, as well as configuring device limit and expiration policies. Administrative operations include defining administrative privileges and custom roles, managing Policy Manager API access and clients, performing software updates and patch management, configuring external logging and syslog integration, and auditing administrative changes and system access. Take a structured study approach using the exact domain weights and estimated times provided here. Focus on hands-on practice for ClearPass configuration and authentication and policy design, and use troubleshooting scenarios and architecture studies to round out your preparation. Good luck with your preparation and use real lab exercises and the official documentation to validate your skills before the exam.